Yallery brown, once upon a time, and a very good time it was, though it wasn't in my time, nor in your time, nor anyone else's time. There was a young lad of 18 or so named Tom who were working on the Hall farm. One Sunday he was walking across the west field. 'Twas a beautiful July night, warm and still, and the air was full of little sounds as though the trees and grass were chattering to themselves. And all at once there came a bit ahead of him the pitifulest greetings ever he heard. Sobbing, like a bairn spent with fear, and nigh heartbroken, breaking off into a moan and then rising again in a long whimpering wailing that made him feel sick to hark to it. He began to look everywhere for the poor creature. It must be Sally Braddon's child, he thought to himself. She was always a flighty thing, and never looked after it. Like as not, she's flaunting about the lanes, and has clean forgot the babby. But though he looked and looked, he could see naught, and presently the whimpering got louder and stronger in the quietness, and he thought he could make out words of some sort. He hearkened with all his ears, and the sorry thing was saying words all mixed up with sobbing. Ooh, the stone, the great big stone. Ooh, the stone's on top. Naturally he wondered where the stone might be, and he looked again, and there by the hedge bottom was a great flat stone, nigh buried in the moss, and hid in the cottage grass and weeds. One of the stones was called the Four Strangers' Tables. However, down he fell on his knee bones by that stone, and hearkened again, clearer than ever. But tired and spent with greeting came the little sobbing voice. Ooh, the stone on top. He was gay, and misliking to meddle with the thing, but he couldn't stand the whimpering babby, and he tore like mad at the stone, till he felt it lifting from the moss, and all at once it came with a sound out of the damp earth and the tangled grass and growing things, and there in the hole lay a titty thing on its back, blinking up at the moon and to him. 'Twas no bigger than a year-old baby, but it had long cotted hair and beard, twisted round and round its body so that you couldn't see its clothes, and the hair was all yaller and shining and silky, like a bairn's, but the face of it was old and as it were hundreds of years since 'twas young and smooth, just a heap of wrinkles, and two bright black eyes in the midst, set in a launder shining yaller hair, and the skin was the color of the fresh turned earth in the spring, brown as brown could be, and its bare hands and feet were brown like the face of it. The greeting had stopped, but the tears were standing on his cheek, and the titty thing looked mazed like in the moonshine in the night air. The creature's eye got used like to the moonlight, and presently he looked up and Tom's face as bold as ever was. "Tom," says he, "thou oo'd right a good lad, as cool as thou can think," says he. "Tom, thou oo'd right a good lad," and his voice was soft and high and piping like a little bird twittering. Tom touched his hat, and began to think what he ought to say. "Pouts," says the thing again, "thou needn't be feared o' me. Thou oo'st done me a better turn than thou knowst, my lad, and I'll do as much for thee." Tom couldn't speak yet, but he thought, "Lord, for sure 'tis a bogle." "No," says he as quick, "I am no bogle, but ye'd best not ask me what I be. Anyways I be a good friend o' thine." Tom's very knee bones struck, for certainly an ordinary body couldn't have known what he'd been thinking to himself, but he looked so kind-like, and spoke so fair, that he made bold to get out, a bit quavery like,